So good evening and welcome to this SAT class. If you give me just a moment, I'm going to go back to the home screen here. Again, just a couple more minutes grace time to see if anyone else arrives. This class will be recorded for my YouTube channel and also shared there as an open course. So you can click on the active Google links at any time if you like, Ms. Natasha. If you're preparing for the SAT, very good to work with a tutor or tutoring house so you can have a checklist of skills that are most common for 95 to 100% of the questions on the SAT. So tonight we're doing lesson 4 of 25 lessons that I'm sharing of topics that are always consistently on the SAT. Tonight's focus will be on systems of two linear equations. And any donation that you would like to give for the class is completely voluntary, and you can send it to my Venmo, Josh Wiener 10. I'm based here in New York City and have been developing this course for over 10 years. I'm in the process of getting it book published, looking for a publisher, and well as getting the materials copyrighted as these questions are and course has been developed by me for the tutoring houses and serve schools here in New York City. All right, so again, it's a pleasure to share my my labor here for over 10 years, and let's begin on the SAT math section for tonight, lesson number 4. As you get ready for your SAT class, the SAT math section will focus on your middle school and high school knowledge of algebra, geometry, the coordinate plane, charts and graphs, probability and statistics, as well as a few other math topics. In its current form, the SAT still is section 3 with 25 minutes and 20 questions and no calculator, and also contains section 4, calculator section, with 55 minutes and 38 questions. So there's a total of 58 questions, which focus mainly on about half of it is algebra from algebra level 1, and another 30% is geometry and then probability and statistics, and just a few questions from algebra 2. In other words, the SAT exam is really only testing your knowledge from 9th and 10th grade mathematics for most students. In addition, with the files that have been sent to teachers, the SAT will be reduced from 58 to 44 questions, and most of the algebra 2 topics will be taken off. For example, there'll be no complex numbers on the new SAT. So if you're interested in taking the SAT, it might be easier for you, as there'll be, again, almost 100% questions from 9th grade algebra 1 and 10th grade geometry. Okay. The other thing to note is that the SAT is a really good exam to add to your college portfolio if you are like to be a college student. And to get organized and prepare, I do recommend getting a tutor or working with a prep course. There are lots of different preparation courses for the SAT. As an educator, I wrote for the tutoring houses here in Brooklyn and in New York City a 28 lesson class, of which I'm sharing 25 lessons online this year. You can see here that about the first half are algebra topics, and then they are geometry and end with charts and graphs and probability and statistics. So when you're getting ready for your SAT, Miss Natasha, for example, if you're like, oh, I'm having trouble with logarithms, and there's maybe up to 5 questions that use logarithms, you might want to do a few extra problems in lesson 14. If you want to review the Pythagorean theorem, which is always on the exam, you might want a few more questions to go over from lesson 17. So by doing this, you can stay very, very organized and stay confident for this standardized test that you're well prepared and that you can do the problems for each topic with competence. The SAT itself is designed in the math sections with an easy to difficult level structure. For the multiple choice in section 3, there are 15 multiple choice that are in blocks of 5, easy, mid, and challenge level, with a few crossover questions. So if what I mean is if you look at the rank of the questions from easy to difficult, 1 to 5, you can see that most of the level 1 and 2 questions are in the first third. There's a level 3 question here, but the rest are also level 1 and 2 in the mid-level section. And the most difficult questions are clustered questions 11 to 15. Similarly, in section 4, where there are 30 multiple choice, the first 20 are easy to mid-level questions with a few exceptions, but the most difficult block of questions are questions 21 to 30. So a very successful strategy for tutoring students at the tutoring house, which I've personally been doing for 15 years, is to do the first 10 in section 3, and then do any grid-ins that are easy, and then check the time, and then do any problems that you skip to finish the section, because it's a timed section. Similarly, in section 4, do questions 1 to 20 as fast and accurate as you can. Skip the challenge questions, do any questions that are easy for you here. Check the time, and then spend the remainder of the time doing the challenge block and any problems you skipped. With this strategy of skipping the challenge questions and budgeting your time properly, we have found at tutoring houses that a raw score of 24 to 40 happens over 90% of the time. In other words, you will score at least a 5 to 600 following even that basic strategy for the SAT as you get ready. Okay, when we work at tutoring houses, we do practice tests, at least 3 or 4 per course. But we found that this specific strategy, being accurate with these 37 questions out of the 58, is enough to have a score that's on the right half of this bell curve, the normal curve. This is the normal curve as graded by the SAT graders of the College Board. 500 is the average score or mean based on the average score of the 58 math questions as respondents submit their answers. So it's sufficient to have a strategy such as this so that your score is 500 above, up to 800 being a perfect score. Most colleges are looking for students on standardized tests that are only on the right half of the statistical normal curve. So if there's 2 million exam data points, they're looking for students who are at least a 500 score in math and in English. In fact, at tutoring houses, if a student is having very difficult time with the standardized test, either because of language difficulties or because of time management, where they're simply running out of time and can't answer the questions in time, it's often recommended that you do not add the SAT or this standardized test to your college portfolio. Colleges know that each individual student has needs and can contribute to the community. So if you're not able, if you're getting prepared and you, no matter how many times you try, you cannot get above a 500 score in both sections, I personally don't recommend that you include it in your high school portfolio for colleges. You can write essays, you can share your grades, you can do any other extracurriculars. You have a lot going for you, you have a real life, and you need to present yourself in a professional and organized way. And if standardized tests are not your strong suit, colleges know that. They know that students learn in many, many different ways. And they're, of course, understand if you don't want to include an SAT score. Tonight, we'll go over a few problems for the lesson number 4 with our focus on a system of 2 linear equations. But before we do that, we're going to begin tonight with our SAT warm-up quiz. At the tutoring house, when students arrive in class, they're presented with a 5-question warm-up quiz that always contains 2 easy-level SAT questions, 2 mid-level SAT questions, and 1 challenge-level SAT question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit the slideshow, and I'll paste the form here in the chat window as well. If you click on the link, you too can try SAT quiz number 4. And the way it works is if you click on the link in the chat window, you should see quiz number 4. And You again will have for 5 practice questions, we'll have 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, we'll review. So I'm gonna get started now. Natasha, if you'd like to participate with essay quiz number 4, can you unmute and let me know if you'd like to do tonight's quiz, which is 5 questions, which we'll review.
Yeah, I can do the quiz.
All right, very good. All right, so click on the link. Can you let me know, is the form working for you?
It's working.
Okay, so please begin the quiz. I have a timer off screen, and I'll see you in 10 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Okay, good luck, Natasha. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay, just 5 more minutes on tonight's quiz number 4. 5 more minutes. Okay, just 30 more seconds on tonight's quiz. 30 more seconds. And just as a friendly reminder, I'll go to tonight's quiz. Remember to have an answer for all 5 questions, and down below the form, you should see a bubble sheet where you can choose the answers for the 4 questions, make your final selections by clicking on the bubbles, and also type in your answer for question number 5. So for example, if my answer was 3.14, I would type it in for question number 5. All right, so just about 10 more seconds. Excuse me. All right, that's time for SAT quiz number 4, Miss Natasha. So if you can make sure you enter your email and name, and then make your final selections. And if you click submit, the school computer should auto grade it for you. Oh, I see that your results are in for the quiz here online. Hold on just a second. And you did very well. You got 4 out of 5 correct. The only question that was incorrect was wrong because the instructions were to round to the nearest hundredths of like. So the correct answer was 5,300. But other than that, 4 out of 5, which is very good for this SAT quiz. Do you have any questions before we review?
No.
No? All right, very good score. 4 out of 5 is very good. Like I said, remember, even if you get only about 2/3 of the questions correct, say a 37 to 40 correct out of 58, you're still earning enough in the math section to get a 500 or higher. All right, let's go over quickly how you can do these problems. Again, this is recorded for the schools, so I'm just going to go over a method for you to solve each problem in less than 2 minutes. Question number 1 says, what is the value of the formula below when A is 10 and B equals 2? So what I do is I'm doing a double plug-in. I'm going to plug in 10 minus 2. And here we have 10 squared, which is 100. 10 times 2 is 20. And 2 squared is 4. Then I would simplify in the parentheses first. So we have 8 times 124. And if you have a calculator, you can do this, but if not, one trick to do your math faster is if I do this 1 times a half, and I multiply this side by 2/1, the reciprocal, then I'd have 248. And I can repeat that if I multiply by a half. This is how you can be a human calculator. Multiply this side by 2, then a half cancels 2, but these are equivalent factors. Then I have 2 times 496. And that's much easier for me to do is to just double a number. So then that would be 992. Okay, I'm saying that I could multiply this in, but this is easier for me to do fast without a calculator. All right, so that's a nice little factor trick to get the math done. All right, question number 2 reads, Linus made 8 gallons of lemonade for his summer sale. It cost him $3 a gallon to make the lemonade. Oh, good grief. If he sells the lemonade for 8-ounce bottles for $1 each, how much profit can he make if he sells all the lemonade? All right, so here we go. So 8 gallons times $3 means that it costs him $24 to set up his lemonade stand. I guess that includes the cups and distribution. But then he's going to sell 8-ounce bottles for $1 each. 128 divided by 8. I guess that's the same as 64 over 4. It's the same as 32 over 2. So that's 16 cups if they're 8 ounces each per gallon. Times 8 gallons is 6 times 8 is 48. Carry 128 cups. But he's simply selling those for $1. So he'll make $128 minus 24 is a profit of, he'll make $104 on his lemonade sale if he sells all the lemonade at the lemonade stand. So the correct answer was B again for question 2. Question number 3 reads, triangular numbers are numbers that pack into equilateral triangles. Think of packing, what is this? Think of packing circles or oranges into equal-sided triangles. What is the sum of the first 6 triangular numbers? All right, so I'll actually draw the triangles. Here's 10, and then 15. And then if we were to expand this, if we've ever done these different pattern arrays, but if we were to continue to grow this pattern, you can see that, well, the next row would have 6. So we have fast way to add this up. So I don't know, I guess I would do this. I would see that's, oh, no, we have to add the numbers. 1 plus 3 plus 6 plus 10 plus 15 plus 6 is plus 21. So add them up any way that's fast. It looks like that 1 plus 3 plus 6 is 10. So that's 20 plus 36. And together that's 56. Total if we add up the first 6 triangular numbers. Okay. Question 4. What is the value of x in the intersection of the 2 linear equations below? All right, if you attended the earlier lessons, you know that this is an SAT shortcut where you can save time by adding or subtracting the system of equations. Always look for this shortcut when you have system of 2 equations. And we'll also be doing that tonight when we go over these problems. But you can see if you look column-wise in the system, if we add them together, we have a nice shortcut. I'm going to add equation 1 to equation 2. We get 5x. 2y cancels 2y, so they cancel. And that's equal to 30. Divide by 5 on the right, divide by 5 on the left, and we get that x equals 6. The correct answer was A for number 4. Okay, so don't forget to look for those shortcuts. Here, the SAT shortcut was to add the system of equations together, and they're rewarding students who have already gotten ready for the exam. Okay, so that was question number 4. Last one, question number 5 was the farmer buys 40 acres of land. And if you take the square root of 40, the area here is 40 acres. Then I think this is a calculator question. You get 6.324 for times the 6.324, but we have to multiply that by, what did they say? 208.7 feet, because it's 6 marks of the square root for an acre. So if you do that, it's also the same on this side of the farm, and the same here, and the same here. And we get a grand total of 5,279.74. But should we go up or should we go down? Because you have to round to the nearest 100. So be very careful when you read the STEM questions. Make sure you read them twice or have a highlighter ready, because they wanted to know to the nearest 100 feet. So you had to round up to 5,300, and 5,200 was wrong. But also, even a good student like you, if you write down 5,279, then you're not going to earn the points for you're going to lose the 10 points for this SAT question. That was question 5, excuse me. So make sure you write out any rounding steps as requested by the writer from the SAT. Okay. All right, tonight we're going to go over lesson number 4, which again, this is a checklist of 28 lessons, of which I'm sharing 25 of my lessons that I personally wrote. And we're going to be looking at systems of 2 linear equations tonight, and the common shortcuts and common methods to solve a system of 2 equations with 2 unknowns. And so let's begin. The SAT math section will always contain several problems, up to 10 problems of the 58, which have a system of 2 equations and 2 unknowns. Occasionally, the test includes a system of even 3, 4, or 5 equations. But it is important to be familiar with the techniques to solve a system of 2 linear equations before approaching any more complex systems. We will need to recognize these problems when presented both as a mathematical equations and when presented in paragraph form. There are 2 main methods for solving a system: elimination and substitution. So what I'll do is I'll give you one example for each. You should be familiar with this from your studies. But Natasha, what grade level are you in currently?
10.
You're a 10th grade, so you're a sophomore. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna, did you already take Algebra 1? Have you already done systems of linear equations?
Yes.
All right, very good. So most students, they take their official SAT not until 11th or 12th grade. So you're really getting ahead. But remember that in a year or two, when you take the SAT for real, you have to review the lessons on systems of linear equations, because there's always up to 10 problems on the SAT. So here's the first technique, called the elimination technique. And for method 1, we're given, here's the following example. 3x plus 4y is negative 23, and 2y minus x is negative 19. What I took the liberty of doing is, equation number 1 is the same, but equation number 2 was not sorted alphabetically. So, rewriting equation number 2, which you can see here, I'll just highlight it really quickly, made sure that the x's were aligned, the y's were aligned, and the constants are on the right side. So now both equations are in proper standard form. We have a column for x, a column for y, and the constants on the right side of the equation. For the next step, what we can do then is, here, and I'll use the annotator, we can scale one of the equations. Here, we're going to multiply the second one, now that it's sorted, by times 2. And then we'll see that we can line up the y variable for elimination. 4y here is here. If we multiply by negative 2, now we'll have negative 4y in the column for the y variables. We're good for the scaled version of equation number 2. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2x, and negative 2 times negative 19 is positive 38. These other terms remain the same, negative 23 and 3x. But now, oops, where's the annotator? But now, Ms. Natasha, we can move through the columns vertically. And what happens is, when we add equation 1 and equation number 2, we see that 4y cancels 4y, and we have 0y here, and 5x equals 15, which means that we now solve for variable x equals 3. 5x equals 15, and x equals 3. So once you find the value for x equals 3, you note it. Make sure you write it down and save that bit of information, because for the next step, we'll go back to one of the equations. Here I used equation number 2, I'm sorry, equation number 1, and we'll plug in and find the value for y. So since x is 3, and we have 3x, 3 times 3 is 9. And then we have 9 plus 4y is negative 23. Subtracting from both sides, 4y is negative 32, and y is negative 8. So that gives us the value for the other variable. Putting them together, the location on the map, if we were to put that information together, the correct answer was for the solution to the system would be at the location 3, negative 8 on the coordinate plane. Right. The next method that you need to review when getting ready for the SAT, that's always one of the 58 questions, is the substitution method. So here, I'm giving you a different system of equations, 2x plus y equals 6, and 7x plus 2y equals 27. Here, what we'll do is we'll take equation number 1 and put it into y equals form. I'll highlight it in red, so again, you can see it. We have y equals 2x plus 6, meaning we isolated for y only in equation number 1. Equation number 2 is still the same. But now what we'll do is, where we see the letter y, we can substitute in its equivalent. So we're going to move into place negative 2x plus 6 for y, because we know that y equals precisely negative 2x plus 6. If you look now, you can see that we now have a single equation with only one variable. Now we only have the x variable. Distributing the 2, we have 7x plus 2 times negative 2x plus 6 is 27. So 7x minus 4x plus 12 equals 27. 7x minus 4x is 3x. 3x plus 12 is 27. Take away 12, 3x equals 15, and we get that x equals 5. Once you solve for the variable here, we use the substitution. We'll write down x equals 5, hold it there, and then we can go to either equation and again plug in to get the value for y. Here, use the equation as isolated. We have y equals negative 2 times 5 plus 6. That's minus 10 plus 6, and we would write negative 4. So y equals negative 4, and the correct answer is going to the coordinate plane, x equals 5 and y equals minus 4. So although elimination and substitution are the dominant methods to solve SAT questions, the amazing thing is because it's a timed test, they reward students by writing questions that can be solved by adding the equations together or subtraction. Natasha, can you just read the question here on the page, and we'll see, look at a shopping problem, say customer number 1 and customer number 2, but then what happens if they share the shopping cart and shop together? And you'll see that this is very common to the writers on the SAT. Can you read this one, Natasha?
The question?
Yeah.
At a certain grocery store, you can buy 3 apples and 5 oranges for $6.25. You can also buy 4 apples and 2 oranges for $4.60. How much is the cost of 1 apple and 1 orange?
Okay, very good, Miss Natasha. So you see, I set up the system of equation by defining apples as A and B for oranges, because O looks like a 0, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, so then the SAT shortcut, very good reading, Natasha, is to add the equations together. Can you read on so that you don't forget that this is common to this standardized test? It will save you about 5 minutes of test time. Can you read on? What happens next?
You would add the numbers?
Add the equation together. Like if you were shopping with mom or dad, it's like, okay, let's put them into one shopping cart. And then, so then how many apples would you have and how many bananas? How many oranges?
7 apples and 7 oranges.
And 7 oranges. Total, what would be the grand total?
It will be $10.85.
Right, so that's for 7. And then what's the last step? Then simply divide by.
You would divide by 14.
No, because then you get a half. So what happens if you divide by 7?
Oh, you have to divide by 7, then you get $1.55.
Is the cost of an apple and an orange. So even though we don't know what the cost of an apple or an orange is separately, this is an excellent shortcut because it's just, you can see here that dividing by 7, that we work out that it's $1.55, which is a very good time saver. Okay, any questions, Miss Natasha?
No.
All right, very good. All right, let's see how it also works on the SAT. Again, this can save you and give you an advantage over other students on if there's 25 minutes, as students are scribbling away, you've already completed an SAT question. Sorry, this isn't scrolling. All right, the next example I wrote for schools here in New York City, and it reads, a toy store, a customer bought 3 toy cars and 4 dolls for $27. Another customer bought 4 toy cars and 5 dolls for $35. Well, what is the cost of 1 toy car and 1 doll? Again, just like you read for the previous problem, we can see that if these toys here total 27, that is this equation here, and then the other larger order, the customer said 4 toy cars and 5 dolls totaled $35 at the store. Well, the way this works is you have a large order, but then like mom or dad saying, no, that's too much, we can't afford that, put 3 cars back and 4 dolls back. Instead, we can get 1 of each. You can pick 1 of each, like that kind of thing when you're a child. Okay, so if the order is too large and we have to put a few items back, that will reduce the overall cost. So this is a typical writing for the SAT. Here, we'll subtract the system as long as we put them together in the correct order. The larger order comes first on top, and then just like mom or dad saying, no, we can't afford that right now, put back 3 cars and 4 dolls. We can do 4 minus 3 is 1 car, 5 minus 4 is 1 doll, and 35 minus 27 gives us the answer right away that a car plus 1 car plus 1 doll at this store will total $8. Right, any questions, Miss Natasha, on the other type of shortcut?
No.
Right, so this is really useful for your work as you get your SAT exam done, knowing that the writers and educators always scale the equations so that they can be solved faster by adding or subtracting with systems of equations. Okay, what I invite you to do now is, you can see that this is my lesson on number 4, where I've written 25 examples from easy to difficult level for linear equations, systems of linear equations. So you're welcome to click on the link. And again, so that you have it in the chat window here, this is the link to my course as saved at Columbia University, which is where I went to grad school to become a teacher many years ago. And please click on the link and make sure it works for you. And just as a free share tonight, make sure you enter your you can enter your email address and name, and the data will be saved. But you're free to try as many of the problems as you like. Because we only have 90 minutes, I only 90-minute block to share this class. What I'd like to do is recommend that you do the even problems only tonight. Excuse me, because it's lesson number 4. So for the even questions, for the even lessons, we're only doing the even problems. And for the odd lessons, we're only doing the odd number. So I invite you to try this SAT classwork number 4 that's used in tutoring houses in New York. Just questions 2 to 24 even. Natasha, did you click on the form? Are you available to access the form from the school drive?
Yeah, it's working.
All right. So Miss Natasha, please begin, and I'll see you in 20 minutes. If you have a problem with the form or with the question as it's written, please just type in chat and I'll see if I can address it for you, okay?
Okay.
All right, so good luck and I'll see you in 20 minutes. Okay, please begin. Okay, just 5 more minutes on tonight's classwork. 5 more minutes. I'm checking the bubbles, so if you can please refresh the page if you are going to submit to make sure that the answer key is correct. I'll share within 5 minutes. I'll share the answer key on the screen as well. 5 more minutes. Okay, last minute for tonight's classwork number 4, systems of two equations. And then I'll reveal the answers for this form. Okay. All right, so I can see here that you truly worked a lot on these, and you submitted the form twice. As I checked the bubbles, I want to check on the advanced problems. The way the worksheets are written at the tutoring house is that 1 to 10 are easy level, 11 to 15 are mid level, 16 to 20 are the challenge level questions, and then the grid-ins are a mix as listed on the worksheets. You did quite well, Miss Natasha. Looks like you earned a 9 out of or 10 on the second submission, 10 out of 25. And the only questions that were answered incorrectly were question number 20 and 24, just because you wrote 2 different answers. Yeah, really just question number 20 was the only one that was incorrect. So what I'd like to do now is just share with you the solutions to this classwork, and then we can go over question number 20. For this classwork, remember we just did the even questions, but here are the solution to all the questions from 1 to 25. Going over the even questions only, 2 was A, 4 was B, like Bravo, 6 was C, like Champion, 8 was D, 10 was D, 12 was C, 14 was A, like Awesome, 16 was A, 18 was B, and 20 was B, like Bravo. 22 was 0, and 24 you had correct is 1.5. So what I'll do is I'll add your response there. I'll add it into the Google form, because then 1.5 or 3/2, and it'll accept that as a correct answer because it is indeed correct. Hold on just a second, I'll add it in. Here we go. 1.5 or 3/2. So if you click refresh on your form, it should give you that extra point for that question. Should mark it correct. I still marked it incorrect. Why is that? 1.5 or 3/2. Oh, I have to do a cap. It's case sensitive. Hold on just a second. Unbelievable. 1.5 capital or 3/2. All right, fair enough. So that is indeed correct. And there you earned 11 as well. Let's go to question number 20, because it is a challenge level question. It's in the challenge level block. And can you read question number 20 out loud? And we'll go over this one for our review tonight. Natasha?
In the system of equations, y equals 3 and y equals ax squared plus b. The variables a and b are constants. For which of the following values of a and b does the system of equations have exactly 2 real solutions?
Okay, very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo slide of this question. And if you give me just a moment, I'll bring it up on the screen for you. And again, I'm very impressed. You worked very, very hard and fast on those 12 questions. And I'll crop the question so that we can use a graphing calculator, which will make this question a lot easier to solve. All right. Okay, so what I'll do now, Miss, is I'll turn on the TI-84 graphing calculator. And show you a method that can be used. Can you just type 1 in chat if you can see y equals on the screen as I clear out the other problems from other tutoring students? I'll turn the plot off. Okay, thank you, Miss Natasha. All right, so for question number 20, it's a little tricky, but if you use a graphing calculator, much easier, and I'll show you why. Since it is a quadratic equation, we have, you use these commands here. I'll clear out the keys so you can see this. We'll type in -2 x squared plus 2 for equation 1. Equation 2 is -2 x squared plus 4, 2x squared plus 4, and 4x squared plus 3. So what I'm doing is, with the graphing calculator, I'm taking the 4 coefficients for each of the 4 answer choices, and I'm just coding them in the graphing calculator, giving 4 different parabolas. Okay, so then we'll have 4 parabolas. But we're looking for, the reason we're doing this is to find a parabola that has 2 solutions at y equals 3. The next thing we'll do is, since we want to know the line y equals 3, I'll draw that in as the green line in equation number 5. Okay, and I know that that's going to be in green because I can see the green color here. So I'm going to change this color as well as I do this for you. All right, so because this is 3, will be the line that we're testing. I'm going to scroll up, and I'm just going to change this color to something else because it'll be distracting if it's a green line as well. Oops. So how about brown? Or is there black or yellow? Medium gray, gray, dark gray. All right, we're not using dark gray, so that looks good. Let me clear off my erase this because we're about to graph it. And now, if you hit graph, it'll graph the 4 functions as well as the horizontal line. But I want to reset the grapher so that we can see all 4. So if you look at the 4 choices have now been graphed quickly as 4 parabolas, but we're looking for this parabola that has 2 intersection points. So it looks like, and again, I'll color code it, the red parabola intersection quadrant 2 and quadrant 1. So there are 2 good points of intersection only for the red parabola. This one, the green one up here, or the dark gray one, hangs way up above. The raspberry one touches down like a ballpoint pen to paper, but then goes back up. And you can see the blue one never reaches, has no relationship to the line y equals 3. So it looks like that's the second one, and I'll just confirm that with the graphing calculator here. Yeah, the red one is the correct one. Oops. This one here. B is correct because, going back to the grapher, oops, how do I save this? Going back to the grapher, that's the only one that has values that are 3. I guess we can find the exact value here. We use the drone. Where's the calculate? a value of x equals 3, enter, and you can toggle to the red graph, and you can see a spider drawing going back and forth. Hey, it's not going up. Why isn't it going up? Here. How do we trace the red graph? Trace the green, purple, red. So here you can see the drone, the red, you can see that it's following the path of the red parabola. And you can see that, yes, it's below 3 there at 2.85, and that's at 3.26, so it crossed over. And also in quadrant 1, after about 0.60, you can see it goes from 3 down to 2 there. So there's a crossing point there. So this little butterfly drone here, this little here that you can move along the string, you can see that there's 2 locations where it must equal 3. All right, any questions on number 20 and how, yeah, definitely use the graphing calculator, makes it much easier.
No, I don't have any questions.
All right. So you're a 10th grader, and I'm very impressed with your study habits. You're very organized, and without my prompting, you completed both the quiz. 80%, you only had 1 error in the quiz because you didn't round, and in the homework, I mean the classwork, you did very well as well. So very impressive, Natasha. Where do you go to school? Do you go to a public or a private school here in America?
I'm going private.
Oh, are you here in New York, or are you in a different state?
I'm in Jersey.
Oh, you're over in Jersey. Oh, okay, wow, that's great. All right, so thank you so much for joining me tonight. Again, I'm offering my course here for free, so you're welcome to check out the Google Forms for the previous 3 classes as well. And if you email me, I'll type in my email if you would like the course. I can email you or your parents, and it'll be sent from my Columbia account, and you can access the forms. Again, this is a course in development. So it is JW2542@gmail.com. And just because I graduated from Columbia, all the forms are saved on my school hard drive at Columbia Teachers College. All right, so it's just fun to know. You can just email me if you're like, hey, can I get another copy of my quiz score or the quiz or the homework? And of course, I'll offer to you free of charge. All right, any other questions for me tonight before we start to wrap up?
No.
All right, so are you planning on taking the PSAT this year? It's your sophomore year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you're gonna find the PSAT is even a little bit easier, but it's there are fewer questions. But again, it's a really good preparation for the SAT. As we wrap up tonight, thank you so much for joining me on this free online class offered on YouTube. I'll be posting it on my YouTube channel. You can learn more about me as a math teacher for over 15 years on my Wix site here, if you'd like to know. And if you'd like to hire me as your personal tutor, I've tutored for middle school, high school students, as well as college and grad students who have gone on to business school and medical school. So thanks so much for studying with me here tonight. And these are the Google Forms for class number 4, and I'll leave them open for you and anyone else if you'd like to study an SAT course that keeps you organized like a checklist of math skills. And again, thanks again for spending some of your evening studying SAT mathematics. All right, so I'm going to log off in just a few moments. Do you have any other questions, or is there any other way I can help you? Otherwise, if you'd like, you can join me on October 10th when I'll be back online at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good night, miss, and thanks to your parents, and bye-bye. Happy studying.
Bye.
Bye-bye.